Where are we going to play today, Michael? Well, it's our very first day of map vetoes, so both teams will be banning 3 maps. Instead of the automated bans or slash the map that you played last time, you get to ban 3 of them today, and of course Clubhouse will be the map that we end up playing as all the bans come in. So this is a very even map for both teams. They've only played it a handful of times, not a ton of footage on either of them. Na'Vi have not played as many games as forZe has over the last 2 months, in large part because of the qualifiers. Na'Vi didn't have to fight through the qualifiers because they're already qualified for the 6 Invitational.
For forZe, it's like they've played it 4 times, won it twice, lost it once, drawn once, and then for Na'Vi, it's like played it twice, won it twice. So it's really limited information here. Let's bring up the community vote. Let's see what you guys think. Who is going to take this? Why don't you go ahead and tell us? I was actually quite interested to see. There are not many community votes, which surprised me with this one. I generally didn't know where it was going to be at. I suspected a Na'Vi victory, and of course 76% of you think that Na'Vi will prevail. 19% for forZe with a 5% draw rate. It's a little bit more lopsided than I think. Yeah. It should be, because I still expect a tight matchup between these 2 teams. I think that in European Pro League, I think it's really hard to suggest that you have any team that is going to completely flop against another. But of course, Na'Vi are still riding the wave, and it's public opinion, it's public interest. Which team do people think, based on what they've most recently seen, are going to do well? And well, most recently, Na'Vi didn't have to play in the Invitational qualifiers because they qualified through winning the last season. So that's a big thing. And then forZe didn't do very well in those qualifiers. So that's what we've got. And knowing that, yeah, Na'Vi have, I would say, a considerable edge. Yeah, forZe did about as well as G2. Oof. Oh, wait, let me actually check. I want to see which one's got further. G2 got... A simple man. I see an opportunity to dunk. I take it. G2 got 2 brackets further in the losers bracket than forZe. forZe got eliminated in losers round 2. G2 got eliminated in losers round 4. So, yeah, but that's because G2 made it further up in the winner bracket. 1 bracket further. That's a big stretch. They both lost immediately after getting put down to loser bracket. A huge shout out to every community caster, for the record, that took part in all of the qualifiers as we see the operator bans come in, and we'll touch on them in just a second. But I do want to give some credit where credit is due, because I remember when I first started casting, there was 1 or 2 community casters to cast, period. And now what we saw over the qualifiers that happened for the 6 Invitational, there was no shortage, to the point where people were actively fighting for an opportunity to cast matches, and casters were doubling up because there were too many casters for matches to go around. So I just want to say, I got to watch that matchup between forZe and Izzadream, and I was astonished watching it. But the bans come in, and Na'Vi bans Buck and Maestro, with forZe banning Mav and Mira. Heartbreacher getting banned on Clubhouse is no surprise, but Mav being the ban over Hibana and Thermite is not always common. I'd say, I mean, most recently, I'd say that Mav on Clubhouse, it started to become a bit of a thing. The reason why you would ban a Mav on Clubhouse is because he is the most versatile for what you need to open up, and he just hard stops any form of denial. If you want to be a defender and Bandit Batrick or something along those lines, or even use a Mute Jammer or a Kai, it doesn't really matter. Mav hard stops that. If you're trying to open up the dirt tunnel, you can do that, and you can open up drop downs for the basement. If you're trying to open up the cache wall, well, you can do, well, the server wall, I should say, you can do that, and you can even open up another rotational into the garage. You can do a lot of things with Maverick, and I think on this map especially, specifically because all of the places that you're going to be Mavericking are not exposed to flanks. Well, not all the things, but most of the things. It's or those flanks are really easy to isolate, and you're going to do it anyway. Mav is really strong here. That's an interesting C4. I wonder what they're going to do with that. A pre-placed C4 on the roof of stock, expecting an entry on that 2nd floor. Not a lot of teams do that, but I'm assuming it's going to be used for Kendrew to make the call as he's roaming upstairs. You can see an abundance of hatches pop. He's got Citizen nearby. Both Kendrew and Citizen have been the standout performers for Na'Vi over the last season and a half. Unusual to see a Thermite / support main as Kendrew do as good as he has in terms of stats, as you're usually not required to carry that much weight. It's going to be an early contest with 40 seconds on in, and already you can see forZe just in, and Citizen, the hotshot player himself, is the very first casualty of Pro League Season 11. That's a really good start there for forZe. Kendrew now stuck in a corner, trying to fight his way out, but Rask gets a second one there. Na'Vi, a little bit of a struggle to begin this match. Something to note, the way that the setup came out for Na'Vi is they were trying their best to delay upstairs, and it worked out surprisingly poorly, if you ask me. They were using a Goyo Mute Jammer combination to try and, delay as long as possible, with even information being brought out from the Valkyrie cams and castle barricades to boot. And that all just fell flat on its face. That force clear was just as fast as it would have been if there was no one upstairs.
I'm very impressed with the speed at which that forZe is working, and a lot of teams would sort of take their foot off the gas when they've got those 2 early picks, but forZe have their foot to the throat of Na'Vi for the moment. We've seen a lot of teams roam upstairs quite effectively with all those hatches opened up. You see Vigil be involved in that to some capacity. You can see a Mute Mozzie combo, as is often referred to. There can be Castle roaming upstairs as well, but no, the Goyo trick does not work. And when I say the Goyo trick, I just simply mean, well, having him available. So a minute to go, and you'll get the hatches now as Ras picks up his 3rd kill. A nice way to pad your stats here, taking the castle out of action. Good entry for forZe into Pro League, as Pasha's now going for the plant. Na'Vi is completely choked off of the site. The Goyo Volcano Shield's working against him. Downed, almost downing Ras. Is he going to go for kill number 4? No, the dream is dead as Pi levels him, but the diffuser is down, so a very successful execution.
Oh,
it's almost a perfect round for forZe, though, as they'll take their very first round in Pro League. They only lose Rask. That's it.
That's confident right there from forZe, and it's the sort of confidence that makes the community vote, and even I think my prediction, look pretty bad, because wow, how efficient can you possibly be if you're forZe? And the big thing to stand out for me there is that Na'Vi were using a really interesting little trick, and it's actually, I think it was, I don't know if it was exactly this, but it looked like it was a Mute Jammer Goyo Shield combination on the top floor roam with castle barricades to support that on the middle floor. And that sort of combination is just layers and layers of denial, whether it be the actual player denial or drone denial. It doesn't really matter. It's just so much that forZe usually hurdles they have to jump over. And well, there was almost no jumping from forZe. It was full sprinting. They were very efficient in that round, impressively so. And I'm honestly just surprised. I think Na'Vi got caught a little off guard. They were not expecting that level of efficiency from forZe. And when the push came in upstairs, those Na'Vi players were just not ready. Citizen and Kendra got picked off way too easily. Na'Vi will take a second to think about their basement hold, and instead of trying it again, they're gonna go to cash for their second bomb site, which makes a lot of sense based on that last round.
I can't blame them at all. They're gonna run a very similar lineup, though, to what we saw last time around. They've subbed out the Mute, they've subbed out the Castle, they're running with something maybe a little bit more standard. It was predicted, actually, by, I believe it was Fresh, who is the new analyst / helping out G2 in some capacity.
Really clever guy.
You know Jack quite well.
Yeah, I worked with him. He's a clever guy.
He predicted that we were going to see an abundance of Maestro bans because of Goyo's position as a utility soak, which is a very good way of putting it. If you have a Maestro available, and then a Goyo available as well, you've got 2 Evil Eye cams and 3 deployable shields at minimum to have to cut through. That's an awful lot, and it kind of handcuffs the attackers. Zofia can't do it all. Buck with Zofia can kind of do it all, and I feel like that's a big part of why forZe is going to run either a Sledge combo, a Zofia combo, etc., with Buck being banned as well by Na'Vi.
But you know what that's going to do? Naturally, that's going to put Valkyrie and Echo as such high-priority operators, and what's interesting about forZe's lineup right now is they've not brought an IQ, knowing that the Maestro is the operator band, not the Echo. So forZe are letting a little bit slip here. It's going to be a run out from Pi, but he doesn't check for the second Claymore, and so is downed. WTG will get Pi, and there you go. That's a free kill to start for forZe. A big mistake there from Pi. He checked for Claymore number 1, did not check for Claymore number 2. Double Claymoring that door is pretty normal.
So, another, I guess, opening pick here from forZe is going to go well, even though that one wasn't quite as forward-thinking as I guess you could say from when it was from Rask, who's doing the exact same entry point. Control of construction is there. Down goes the Thermite as saves guns down, comma. And you still got 1 hard breacher left in the hands of Pasha.
Oh, the shield working out for saves as he gets his second kill. WTG goes down. forZe now on the back foot, but they're going to get the construction wall open after already opening up server. So this is a really good breach right now from Pasha.
Oh,
he got it. I think it's
I was going to say the two X-Kairos on the top look very different. This is textbook Na'Vi right now, impacting away the hard destruction. So all the X-Kairos are going to have to go to get rid of this janky hole that's been opened up. Shockwave from the window will patrol to try and cut off Na'Vi from rotating out of cache as down goes the smoke, and Pasha will have to pull back. On to drones he'll go, and Rask, who's been the best player for forZe in one round, will find an ADS being his undoing. Not a ton of time to work with now, and an advantage for Na'Vi as they look to hang on. Keep in mind, Clubhouse does tend to skew towards the defenders, and well, Na'Vi's going to want that to continue. Rask moves on in. You can hear the TCSG. Down goes saves as Shockwave gets a kill, and Rask hunts on the red stairs. Can't control the SMG-11, but he'll swing on over, and he'll manage to get the legs of Kendrew, and the plant goes down. There's still a Yokai drone in play as the EMP will look to disable it. Shockwave watching for coverage. This is a perfect hold from forZe for the time being, and the Yokai will not be effective, if even available. Nello in a 1v3 with diffuser down yet again. forZe is making mincemeat of Na'Vi, and will continue as Nello gets swiftly ended after that diffuser is planted, and forZe will go up 2-0.
Okay, so in that sort of situation, what we saw there from forZe, it's exactly what they needed to bring out. So what they did is they had a kind of a gridlock where they can't necessarily push because they don't know what Na'Vi's holding. They cannot nade the hotspot anchor positions because there's an ADS that was not cleared. That could have been fixed, by the way. There were EMPs still on Shockwave, but moving on from that. So forZe, what they need to do is establish who on their team has the most high priority position to just stay and cover. And in that round, it was Shockwave who was covering the rotation from the garage. It was the other players that needed to make the push into cache and deal with those, again, those hotspot anchor positions like the top of cache stairs before the plant can start to go down. The thing that really just screams at me as being, well, the biggest win for forZe and the biggest flaw on Na'Vi was Kendrew on those cache stairs. What was he holding? And then he goes prone on the stairs and exposes his feet to the person right above him. He knew that he had to have been getting aggressively pushed. That was a huge mistake there from Kendrew. And it ended up costing his team the round because, and here's why, it's very simple, his other teammates were in garage. And from garage, his teammates can effectively crossfire onto cache with him, but if there is no crossfire, then those lines of the garage players are easily isolated, and again, still being cut off from Shockwave. So there's a lot of layers to that engagement, but the biggest thing is that Shockwave couldn't get, Kendrew couldn't get any one player as the push came into cache, and Shockwave got 2 by simply holding the rotation from garage.
I think Goyo's main usage that we've seen over the last little while, other than utility soak, is just to be a great piece of annoyance. And the way that forZe has managed to cut away from it has been very impressive. Now, speaking of impressive, I don't know if you can call what Citizen just did impressive, because that is a... would you characterize it as something that you die to and then look back later and go, what the hell was that?
Yeah, no, that's an odd play from Citizen, and it's the sort of play that he knows he's only going to be able to do it once.
I think the default in Garage is still up for the record. I believe so, yes.
I sure hope not for forZe's sake.
I mean, they didn't clear it at all when
default cam in Garage
got taken.
Well, not good. We're actually it is
still up. So there you go. Not exactly the diligence that you need to see from forZe here, but
that's a little rough.
Not as successful an entry. They lost the opening pick to Na'Vi with 1.5 minutes to spare. Now you go on to the drone work and see what more utility you can use to hopefully put this back into an even man count.
Again, though, that kill that we saw Citizen get, you're never going to get an opportunity to kill someone like that again. They're not going to give you that opportunity. So it might cost forZe a round, but it shouldn't cost them anything moving forward. Rask is doing a lot of work here, opening up soft destruction. He's trying to deny impact tricking. The question is, will he be successful? So far, he's looking pretty good. Impact comes out, but it misses. And there you go. Rask did his job. He allowed the Hibana to open the drop down and denied Nello impact tricking it. We've seen one Goyo shield get destroyed so far. It looks like Tunnel is just going to be hard denied. You're not going to be able to push that if you're forZe. They'll have to figure out a different way to hit the site.
You got a Goyo in there camping with a Goyo shield. At any point, he can hit the volcano and blow it up. Down goes Shockwave, as that's a beautiful C4 tossed out from Pi. Refrag, though, on the other side of the map by Pasha on Nello. Legion being a particular nuisance with 40 seconds left. Most of his traps, if not all, should be down at this point. So forZe still trailing. But they made it work last time. They turned a 4v3 into a 3v0 in their favor. They'll creep on up. 2 bodies stacked up in the hallway, frag grenade prepped, and you'll hear this one roll off. They'll do some damage, but not enough. Just trying to distract, at least for the time being. 20 seconds, they're in. They've got control, they'll go for the plant, it'll be given away. Will they be able to battle back? It'll fall on the shoulders of Rask. Kama watching the dirt tunnel, the Goya won't be able to get out. Planter goes down, so forZe for the 3rd round in a row is successful here. And you've also got so much coverage. Pasha's in the middle of the floor. Pro, Rask watching from above. Navi might be caught between a rock and a hard place, but Pasha cannot connect. Oh, a beautiful shot and a flick on over. And now an advantage for forZe. With Kendra down and Pi on such limited HP, this looked like Navi was in the driver's seat. The newest member of Navi's not going to be able to do much, and it's a flawless hold after that diffuser goes down. They didn't lose a single person. forZe looking unstoppable as they are up 3-0.
forZe did everything right there, but more importantly, Navi did nothing. Actually nothing. They didn't do anything wrong. Well, no, they did. They did everything wrong because they didn't do anything. They had a 4 versus 3 situation. Kama holding from above. We had Rask in the hallway. He opened up the rotation, allowing Pasha to enter into the site and go for a plant. They have full coverage on the plant, and yes, that's really impressive from forZe. They managed to take a losing situation and turn it into a win by being well-structured and well-thought in their attack. But Navi didn't try to stop that attack. They put no effort in until it was already too late. In the post plant, that is unwinnable. Why? Because those attackers can just rotate away from their relatively exposed positions and play off of time. There is no way that Kama would have died before the end of the diffuser cycle there. He would have waited that out perfectly and won it from above, even if his other 2 teammates had died in the site. And moving from that, I don't even think the sledge even had to stay downstairs. I think he rotated up as well, so there was even less risk on forZe in the post plant. The only way Navi were going to be able to win that is if they had denied the plant outright, but they didn't try. Navi put themselves in such a great position, in a winning position, and they've been able to leverage that leverage a winning position by using things like Valkyrie cams into C4s because there's no IQ on forZe. But they couldn't turn it into a round win, and now we're up 3-0 for forZe on attack of Clubhouse.
It's hard to talk about Europe and not bring up G2. I mean, it's been made easier by the fact that they've had a bit of a step backwards. But I still think for many people that watch EU Pro League, they will very fondly remember, those that were fans of G2 at least, how G2, even when at a numbers disadvantage, would still be in the driver's seat.
Yep.
How many times would they be able to win a clutch with the diffuser down, or even just on defense, waiting and baiting out the attackers here? And so far, forZe is emulating it very successfully. If you're forZe, you don't want to emulate G2's current trajectory, of course, but at the moment, they are playing this extremely well, and it shows they've done their prep work, just be it whether they know the positioning of Navi, whether they know the Valk cams, etc. Navi could also be a little cold here because they haven't played Siege much for the last 3 months.
I would describe Navi's current situation as playing not to lose instead of playing to win. That's what I'm saying.
Very good point. Another church defense as well for Navi, and they leave the stock hatch soft. Rask is trying to break a record for hammers per minute at the moment.
He's doing a great job at it. I mean, he's halfway through his hammer.
It's soothing to watch this, actually.
Yeah, it's like home.
Look at it. It's Extreme Home Makeover Sledge Edition.
Renovations, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing, what's that one, that VR game? There's a VR game where it's like the home.
Is that a real thing?
Home flip, where it's like you destroy. Yeah.
I would imagine it was probably, if I were to name something like home flippers, probably, or something.
This has been the slowest round in terms of action between these 2 teams. We're could be almost halfway through this match. We don't actually know what Navi's going to be able to put together, as a Clubhouse attacking team has taken 3, looking for a 4th. Nobody from forZe has been felled early, and Citizen's the only one who's taken any damage.
Rask lets one slip by there. Nello managing to get safe, and he's not going to be able to impact the drop yet again. The reason why you cannot impact the drop right now is very simple, and I'm sure most of you noticed it's Rask. He's opening up so much that it's just not possible. Kendrew is going to get Kama, though, so once again, Navi with the lead-off kill. The question is, are they going to be able to turn this into a win? They have reinforced the wall that was opened up on Armory by the sledge last time, so that is one avenue that forZe will not have access to.
There's a great refrag potential there onto WTG, even if he was able to get the Jaeger of Citizen, but he falls to Nello. Now leaves Shockwave in a position by Memorial, watching the cut off. He'll get smoked out, and he's going to have to go somewhere else. A great shot from Pasha, who's now just going to suicide drop. right into a goo mine as, well, both teams are going to trade out kills. Pasha and Shockwave in a 2v3, but this won't be the first time that we've seen forZe be able to win a 1vx. But finally, it'll end for them. No clutch potential this time. Na'Vi takes their very first round. It comes at a time when they desperately need it. They still had backup in case saves had been felled.
So a lot of Na'Vi fans hoping that Na'Vi are going to be able to turn that into more momentum, and they sure do need it. They're going to want to get all two of the remaining rounds, and through three total on the defensive half if they want to have a chance of winning this one. Now that last round, it stood out for Na'Vi because they were much more active, but not proactive. They were reactive to what forZe were putting out. Instead of trying to get to, well, they tried to get to a little bit aggressive early on with Citizen. That didn't work out for them. They lost some HP. But that aside, they were not actively aggressive. Apart from that, they tried to react to what forZe were putting up when it came to the attack onto the site. They aggressively peaked some of those sledge pulls and managed to turn that into kills. Nello had an especially good round, and Blue was hard denied. So that whole prong of the attack from forZe just stopped cold in its tracks. So a much better round for Na'Vi, mostly because they didn't just let the enemy take control of site and plant.
This is going to be the first round for Na'Vi without a Goyo, if I correct in my memory here. Obviously, we don't track individual operator stats round by round, or at least I don't. I'm sure somebody does.
I think it's because of the Zofia sledge combo has been kind of taking care of those shields pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, is that even if the shields aren't being taken care of, as I said, in the second round, forZe is just dancing around them. They haven't really been much of a factor. And
it's been interesting to see Na'Vi bringing the Goyo, and I think that it could be useful, but it hasn't been against forZe specifically.
From what I watched the qualifiers, Clubhouse was the map where we saw the most Goyo, so it could just be that this is the meta that's developed. Keep in mind, we do not sit in on scrims.
Yeah.
We don't always get to hear what teams are utilizing every step of the way.
Quick note, you're probably wondering why we are currently at gym. It is because, it is my opinion that it's because Na'Vi knows what I just talked about, which is they need to win all of these defensive rounds.
Yes.
They may as well go to their worst site this round, because they're going to get to go to cash next, plus they're going to catch their enemy off guard on operator selection, possibly. So they're like, yeah, I mean, we need to win this round. We need to win all these defenses. Let's just go to gym. Why not? We'll see if forZe is able to adapt around that. They're setting up for a nade onto the... I think it was supposed to go into bathroom, but the call was main stairs. And while Saves managed to hear that nade being pulled, and he fell back, played it safe, and has lost no HP. Second thermite will go off. The castle barricade will be opened. forZe have full control of gym and the bathroom. It's going to be a retake here for Na'Vi as they play exceptionally passive. They'll have to time this retake perfectly if they want to have any chance. forZe are usually pretty good at covering these angles and going for the plant.
Rask has been on one today, and he's positioned to catch another, and down goes Citizen. Swiftly ended. And you've got clear passage on in. You're right, it is staggering how far back Na'Vi is playing, and I think that is going to be some cause for concern from forZe as, well, when you see that there's nobody playing on site, you have to be a little bit apprehensive. Pasha in to try and challenge the castle, and oh no. He sees the mute, rather, but the castle's not too far off, and the UMP is not a strong weapon, but it wins its fights when you've got the enemy turned towards the back. Rask finds Pi, and Saves jumps on up. Can't win the fight as the SMG-11 in the hands of Rask is just simply better. And now Kendrew, with a fraction of HP, will look to try and win it for his team. A frag grenade goes down at his feet. He's going to need to skirt away. Doesn't do any damage to him. He runs on up amidst the sound, but he turns his back at the bad time. And Rask, oh my. It's been a standout performer for forZe many, many rounds. In this round, this match actually is no exception. In this round, too, he's been on a tear.
Yeah, he's definitely the standout for me, and that round was saved by Rask numerous occasions. In fact, it was put into the advantage of forZe by Rask to begin with. That nade right there, that saved the round. Yep. Because if that nade had not gone down, I'm full confidence that Kendrew would have been able to clutch that. He would have caught the Thatcher going for the diffuser. We had the sledge on very low HP. Sure, the castle was too, but you know, Rask probably could have lost the fight on the ump, and we would have seen a 1v2 there. But the nade prevented that any chance of that happening. So really good awareness from Rask. He must have heard the footsteps. Of course, that staircase is very loud when you step on it. Now, Na'Vi know they're in a very bad position. Having lost that round, they will go to cash. Not being able to get 3 rounds, defense of Clubhouse does bodes pretty poorly. Now, it's possible that when Na'Vi get to attack, they're going to be a totally separate team. They'll come into their own. But right now, Na'Vi are playing in a way that just doesn't seem to work against forZe. I'm not going to say they're playing especially poorly, because they're not. Na'Vi have a plan. I saw that plan in the second half of that round when we had 2 people underneath Jim. They were playing exceptionally passive, yes, but the reason they were doing that, it was because they were prepared to retake from construction cache if they needed to onto Master, and that's very doable if you can maintain office control. And they had players underneath Jim, and they could have potentially denied the plant from there. But there was enough of an emphasis placed on those players downstairs by forZe that, well, yeah, forZe killed the people underneath. Or they effectively nullified their usefulness by killing the players by workshop so quickly.
These rotates from Na'Vi have been caught out 3 times. I don't think a single one has actually been found from forZe. That's lucky for Na'Vi that forZe has been ill-prepared to deal with it, because that could have been a very poor early death for Na'Vi, as Kendra and Pi have both taken a little bit of damage, but that's been all about what we've seen for 40 seconds. Also worth mentioning that 40 seconds in on the very first round, forZe had already found 2 kills. We're in the final round of forZe's attack, and they're looking to put a stranglehold on this matchup. It's amazing that Rask has been entering exactly the same. Same with Pasha. Very similar to Empire. They do the same thing every single time, and they just win. It's hard to escape the comparisons to Empire with forZe, as Shockwave's mark on both teams is quite obvious, and of course both being a Russian comrades, so to speak here.
Yeah.
Construction control for forZe, as it's a cash defense. I think you were right about the Jim play. There goes a frag, and another missed opportunity from forZe.
Bad timing.
Very, very bad timing.
Well, Pasha's going to get his own opportunity on to save, so well, you get one bad situation in terms of timing, another one presents itself, and it was actually the player that Rask missed the opportunity on, so there you go. Kendra also goes down. It looks like a 5-1 to start things out here for forZe, unless the last 3 players on Na'Vi have something special to say. All the information that's been gathered by forZe has been capitalized upon so far by the guns, and that's why we have this 5v3. And those 2 players got droned out pretty effectively on Na'Vi.
forZe have excelled when trailing, but when they've looked as good as they have through this round, they've been almost unstoppable in this matchup. And the man that we have spoken so much about on your screen is Rask. There's another rotate from Na'Vi, caught out from forZe. Great patience! SWTG takes 2 heads for the price of 1. Nello in a 1v5. He's got a yokai, but the timing is not going to be perfect, and he's going to get pressured mighty hard. Sits behind that volcanic shield. He loses his yokai, and it's going to have to be a frag fest. This position is given away, and Echo is not exactly a stealthy operator. Can't even make it up the red stairs, as there's Rask. And a flawless round from forZe, and a 5-1 scoreline to swap sides. Man, forZe, what a debut thus far. They're 1 round away from, at worst, a draw.
Here's the big thing, Parker. I'm seeing a really proficient, effective forZe on their attacks, especially efficient as well, I gotta say. Very quick on the clear, very quick on the drone game, information gathering, top tier. And I'm not only not seeing a well-performing Na'Vi, I'm actually just not really seeing a Na'Vi. I haven't noticed Na'Vi yet. I don't know if they've showed up to this match yet, but I don't see them. So It is really a case of Na'Vi playing not to lose. I am seriously noticing that, especially on that defensive side. Now that they're on attack, they're going to have to be a little bit more proactive and aggressive, because it's their, well, that's what they're, they're on attack. That's what they need to do. But geez, Na'Vi really didn't play well that last half. I mean, mostly, again, I would attribute a lot of the fault to the passiveness, or the passive nature of Na'Vi. And you can play passive on defense sometimes against some teams, on some maps, in some situations. You have to be very specific about when you're doing that. But I think about the way that forZe have been playing, it's just not going to work for you very well.
No, I think there's a little bit of rust on Navi's side of things. The one major standout for me has been not just how the Goyo has been, or was, ineffective for Na'Vi at doing what they needed it to do. I didn't really see it being much of a challenge for forZe to deal with. And in fact,
they just walked around it.
They just walked around it, or they used exclusively the Zofia to take care of those shields and then just leave it, right? But the other thing, too, was that you basically strapped Kendru who statistically is your second best player, to Goyo. And if we could see the scoreboard for a second here, I think Kendra is, 3 kills. I mean, mind you, the rest of the team hasn't been much better, but I think that when you have somebody who's as strong of a backbone of your squad as Kendra tends to be, you need to have him in a position where he can do what he does best. Now, the good news is that he excels as Thermite and does tend to collect a huge or even lion's share of his frags on attack, but you might only have 2 rounds on attack here with the way that it's been going so far, as forZe are so close to victory. It
could be that Kendrick's just not comfortable with the TCSG, but in that case, use the Vector. It's an option too, and it's pretty good.
I mean, I think a lot of people would argue that neither are particularly outstanding weapons.
I would disagree with that argument, but I would say
know people are very uncomfortable with especially the ACOG and the TCSG.
Yeah, well, I mean, I use Hollow on it personally, but
oh, do you?
Yes, I do, Parker.
Okay.
But the suggestion in my mind is like that it's a very particular weapon that only some people are proficient with, and if you're not, then use the Vector because it is the antithesis of the TCSG because it is, you know, you've got a lot more opportunity, you got a lot higher rate of fire. I don't know. There's options. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself. Now we've got Na'Vi trying to clear out the roam from the top 4, and they've been successful. But what do you all note that I have just noted is we've got half the round expired, and I mean Na'Vi haven't managed to get middle floor control, and well, they will get a lead-off kill though, so that's really good. But a lot of time wasted here from forZe, and I would say even that death is worth it for the defense, which is a stark contrast to the first half.
If you have a Vigil that can kill 2 minutes of a 3-minute round just on his own, even though I would argue that not a lot of that was just simply Rask doing
it is a fair trade, but
you still have a roamer killing an awful lot of time, and most importantly, you took out the best player for forZe and the best player in the match so far in Rask, and you have that pressure alleviated. Now, the problem is that you don't exactly have a ton of time. Rask with 10 kills was just shown on the scoreboard there, further emphasizing my point. So, what do you do? 40 seconds. You still got lots of utility left. You got a Capital on the board, and saves will obviously be very important. Is that church wall completely unreinforced, or was it reinforced the other way? That's the real question. No, it's reinforced the other way. That's what I thought. I was looking at it. It's very strange. Shockwave, prone, shotgun at the door of Moto, waiting for a drop from somebody from Na'Vi. You can see the coverage from forZe on your screen. Saves position given away. There goes a C4 on the Pi. Down goes the Hibana. Diffuser is in the hands of Kendra, though, so you don't have to worry too much. forZe is battling back here, finding Kendra. This is some sloppy coverage. Kama comes alive, can't connect for a third. Na'Vi finds themselves against Nello and Pasha in a 1v1. Nello has to go for the frag, but Pasha wins it. Match point for forZe. They guarantee themselves at least 1 point. And Na'Vi do not look like the team that conquered Japan. forZe have an opportunity to put this one away in round number 8.
Rough one for Na'Vi. forZe coming out on top, coming into this season swinging hard with a 6-1. And honestly, we haven't really seen much from Na'Vi. In that particular round, they put up a pretty large surround of the site, but it was really thin. We had like one person pushing blue, one person pushing dirt, one person coming down the main stairs, one from Moto. I mean, it was kind of all over the place, really. From Na'Vi, and it's not a term I like to use too much, but I think in this case it was especially applicable because they were just so poorly coordinated. And a lot of things went wrong for Na'Vi. Don't get me wrong. Like for example, a Legion trap downing your Ashe and blue. That's one of the things that will cost you a round, and it did. But it's the 2 minutes that were wasted clearing out roamers. That's why it came down to a 1 versus 1. Another 30 seconds there, and instead of taking the 1 versus 1, you're gonna pick up your Ashe in blue, and you're gonna play off that 2v1, and you'll probably be able to win it against Pasha in that situation. But you don't have that opportunity because you spent so much time clearing one roamer, and that's it.
I would say so much of what we've seen from Na'Vi. You pointed out we haven't really seen Na'Vi all that much. So much what we've seen from Na'Vi when it comes to late rotations in front of open windows and open doorways where you know forZe is going to be 20, 30 seconds into a round. How listless we saw that attack being. Na'Vi just don't look like they're firing on all cylinders today. Whether it's a lack of comfort or whether you know it's a discomfort with the fact that they're playing forZe, whether it's a discomfort with the fact they're playing on Clubhouse. As we said, this wasn't a map that they play all that much. I'm not entirely sure. Feel free to lend your speculation here.
I didn't want to lend my speculation because I feel like it's going to send the wrong message. But I have a thought, and I don't know. Na'Vi just haven't been playing up to spec. If I'll just put it like that, they haven't been playing up to the expectation that the Na'Vi name I think represents, having just won a season final. But it's Well, I have a thought I'll share with you later.
In private?
Yes.
Okay. It could be ring rust here as the wall gets opened up onto CCTV. Kama playing the shield backwards, but still waiting. Oh, he just sees the head of the Capital, but gives himself away. And he's going to need to go because if he gets pressured, he is as good as dead. Yet again, another time that forZe misses out on the opening pick against Na'Vi. Rotating. Citizen's going to grab the opening pick for the second round in a row. Na'Vi will be successful with the first frag, and it goes on to Kama, who was the one that was cheating death. Outruns Pasha, trying to land some shots over the motorcycles. He'll do a tiny bit of damage and lose most of his HP in the process. They know they've got him isolated, though. He runs out again. I wish we could have seen that one. Pi manages to nail him. That's a great shot.
It was through the drone hole.
That is as beautiful as they come. This looks to be a stomp for Na'Vi as they look to bounce back, but they're on the ropes. Shockwave flashed inside a garage. Na'Vi holding a 5v2 advantage with over a minute to go. Nearly a flawless round, but WTG takes out saves and then drops to his death as Nello is there. Can Na'Vi fight back? This will be a hell of a challenge, but they win their very first attack and only their second round so far in this match.
It's a very clean round there from Na'Vi, that's for sure. A few blunders from forZe. For example, Pasha's run out, not managing to get anything and then dying to the drone hole. That was really good awareness from Pi to secure that kill, and good knowledge of angles as well as a very steady aim. Long-range shot through a drone hole. You don't see those very often. Now, we're going to see Gym Bedroom now for forZe. They're not going to stick to cash. They'll move it forward. forZe's problem in that last round was partially the fact that they lost so many people off-site. The fact that there were just not enough bodies to actually hold the push on the side as well. It seemed like Na'Vi just waltzed on in after they got the wall open. The garage hole was lackluster. The roamers accomplished very little. forZe, they're just gonna change it up. They're gonna, nah, we'll do something else. It's fine. Not a big deal. We'll do Gym. Try to mix things up. Try to catch Na'Vi off guard with their operator selection. Na'Vi's operator selection, though, I think much the same as it was last round. So I think they'll be fine. They're bringing an all-purpose kit. You know, interesting thing here is that there is no Echo being brought from forZe. They're sticking to the Valkyrie. Now, this actually leans more into the kind of aggressive playstyle that we're seeing from forZe. We're going to peek stuff. We're going to be active in our defense. We're going to not let you take this ground. Instead, we'll fight you for it. Because if you got an Echo, as much as he's great at denying plants, he also plays more into a passive playstyle, into a more slow structured playstyle, into the sort of, you know, oh yeah, you're gonna go for a plant, well, we have a yokai drone in there and you don't know about it. And that's why you would bring an IQ, but you're not bringing an IQ because the Echo's not being brought, because that's not the playstyle that's being represented here today. It's more of a rough and tumble brawl.
Na'Vi brought an Echo 2 or 3 times, but as you pointed out, during those particular rounds, yeah, Echo doesn't really fit into their playstyle here on Clubhouse, and then additionally, an IQ wasn't brought from forZe either. The Echo was not actually that effective if you look back on Navi's defenses. Oftentimes it's an Echo last alive, and
it's not for the playstyle.
Exactly. Especially with how quick forZe was being when they were on attack. Echo's great if you know that the opposing team is going to take the final 10, 15, 20 seconds. But when you're going for a defuse with 40 seconds left, your Yokai's not going to be anywhere near as effective, especially when, in that particular instance, it was a 1v5. So, still match point for forZe and will be until the end of this matchup. At worst, they are looking at a draw, in which case they will relinquish what is now currently the #1 team in Europe. Get your hot takes in now on what that means.
I think that's going to be the sort of spot that is constantly moving throughout this season. I've got a hunch.
Especially with how competitive Europe can be.
Yeah, it is very... Now, we've got the jacuzzi wall open. We've got the server wall open. That means that they can avoid the run out onto that, or onto the window in server, which can pressure the south balcony. It means that Na'Vi can then start to try and open up the bathroom. The question is, will they be able to get that bathroom wall open with their second exothermics, rather?
They open things up here, and there goes a flame bolt over the top of the bathroom wall. Pasha's going to try to impact Trick, does so successfully. Opening pick goes to Na'Vi in the meantime. So they lose the exothermic charge, but trade it off, and there's Kendrew coming alive. The double hard breach combo for Na'Vi is paying dividends at the moment. Rask is still alive. Down goes the Valkyrie camera. WTG comes on up. Rask eliminates Kendrew, and WTG manages to survive that one as Rask gets felled off screen. Pasha answers back, and this is a brawl, as you said, Kicks. Construction for Na'Vi as WTG is down, leaving Pasha inside a bathroom in a 1v2. WTG is certainly left for dead as Pasha will rush out. Maybe he'll go for it, but he gets caught in the rotate in a massive round for Pi. What was that? 3 kills, 4 kills. He's making his presence felt. Who says Hibana's a support operator? In Europe, not the case.
I don't think Hibana's ever been a support operator. I think she's a hard breach operator. Oh.
Not today.
You use her ability, and then she is one of the best fraggers on attack. Once you've used her ability, then she transfers. It's the same kind of principle for Thermite, but he's obviously not a 3-speed.
Kendrew certainly, it doesn't matter what he's doing. That man slays on Thermite. And
oh, yeah.
As I said, he's usually better on attack than defense when it comes to those kills and clutch potential. Yeah, but he's been waking up for his team.
The big thing here is that it's too late for Na'Vi. Like, they can get 1 point out of this, but they're not going to get the 3 that they want. They're not going to take the win that people expected of them. 76% people, or 76% of people thought that Na'Vi were going to be able to win this. And even it does look pretty desperate for them to even take a draw, because they're going to have to win 3 rounds in a row now. It would be 5 total in a row in order to push it to that 6-6. Interestingly, forZe will not go basement. They could have gone basement this round. But they have decided to stick to cash. Maybe trying to...
The ultimate power move.
Subvert expectations.
Maybe they want to give Cash another crack because they think it could work. Worst case, they lose it and they go to Church. The thing is that if they go to Church here and they lose it, then they've lost every single site in a row, maybe possibly demoralizing for them, and then...
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen... As weird as it sounds, I've never seen forZe as the sort of team that gets demoralized easily.
They have ice in their veins.
They do. Yeah.
I don't know what it is with the two CIS teams that we have.
Yeah, I would say both Empire and forZe. They just don't get demoralized.
They do not get flustered.
We have seen Empire get demoralized once or twice.
6 Invitational 2019 last year in that marathon match on Coastline against G2. Yes,
but that was a very specific case, and I think it would have gotten to anyone. And it was like, what was it, like the first big land?
That was their first big land.
So it doesn't really count.
And I mean the same from forZe. If we now translate to them, is that or transfer it to them in their match against G2 at the Raleigh Major, it did definitely look like they were shaken as G2 just dominated them in a very quick 2-0.
First land shakes, though. I mean, you're going to get those.
Yeah, and I mean, they're bound to happen, especially against good opposition. But showing the staying power and the confidence that forZe have, they made mincemeat of Na'Vi on attack. But as the sides have swapped, we've only had 2 defender victories here. And, well, attackers are doing quite well. Who would have thought? A lot of people were saying that the addition of Goyo would only further entrench defenders as the stronger of the 2 sides, but not the case on Clubhouse, especially when you look at the bans. Buck being a massive ban here from Na'Vi. They know how to play around it. Didn't really slow forZe down all that much.
You gotta respect the thoroughness of Pi's droning there, and that is gonna force Rask to relocate. Of course, Na'Vi need to be careful that they're efficient. Shockwave has decided to bring Echo, and that actually could work against Na'Vi, because Na'Vi's attacks are much slower than the attacks we were seeing from forZe. It's also going to give good information in Garage. You can see the flash is coming out here, trying to get Shockwave. He knows he's safe, though. He doesn't need to do anything. He's just constantly calling this out to his teammates. He'll need to do something if they start to challenge the stairs, and they are, and he's going to, and he gets 1. That's Kendrew gone. Flash will blind him. Is the refrag in? Yes, it is. Pi manages it. Good job there. Shockwave got on his own drone to try and stop that, but he was too slow.
He was expecting somebody to back him up in that case, but they weren't aware of how close he was at the time. Pi will try to give a clearer passage on into the site. Will there be a metal bar between it? That's the real question. No, it looks like it's about as clear as day. Saves watching the rotate, but Pi knows that with the rotate itself over by the door, while he's in some significant trouble. You've also got Rask way below. Shots there from Pasha, and they actually trade. Kama eliminates Pi, and forZe find themselves with an advantage. They'll catch the Thatcher with his pants down. Goodbye to Nello, and it's saves against the world. With all the points on the line, will he be able to make it in? No, he trades with Kama, but it doesn't matter because forZe still have a numbers advantage that they ride out for the victory. First game in EU Pro League, and the first victory to boot.
Big win there from forZe as they lock it up in the end. I really like the way that they decided to play that. You know, we had Shockwave in the garage. He wasted a whole heck of a lot of time. No one came to support him, but I think he just called that. He must have been like, you know what, guys, I'll die here, but I'll take one with me. And he did. He manages to punish Na'Vi for taking Garage. And then there's still denial and information in the site, thanks to the Yokai drone and the C4 combination. We still have the roamers from forZe. And yes, Citizen hit a really nice shot there on that flick. He manages to trade himself out, but still, I mean, there's so much attrition for taking the ground that you're taking as Na'Vi. It takes so much time for Na'Vi, and since they can't keep themselves ahead in that attrition war, I mean, the round's going to go to the defense by default.
And I think everything started to fall apart as well when you took the garage and you didn't drone out the Echo at the top of it, and he just was allowed to exist with nobody there challenging him whatsoever.
I mean, they knew. They must have known he was there.
They must have known he was up there, but they were both stacked up in the same. They flashed him, but I don't think they expect him to jump up. The flash was a little too late. Shockwave read it very, very well. Didn't read it so well for Pi. Pi actually, I think, top fragged for them when we saw that scoreboard. So
he's doing pretty well.
He was doing his job quite well. All of Na'Vi excelled on attack. They had a terrible defense. They only had one victory, and most of those rounds on defense, they completely fell apart. Of course, it was ended with a punctuation mark with that flawless victory from forZe on the final defense of Na'Vi. On attack, things kind of switched up. How much of that do you think was just simply a more attacker-sided Clubhouse? Because we've actually been seeing a fair bit of this. Even at USN, at the finals just a month ago, Clubhouse skewing more towards the attackers as of late, or is it just a sign of the aggressiveness that we tend to see?
I mean, you can make an argument for that for the sides, but that to me was that match in particular has nothing to do with the sides. I think that it was mostly just Na'Vi were not playing up to snuff. forZe were playing really well. They were playing their game. They were just they were confident in everything they did. forZe knew what needed to be done, got it done, and did it so efficiently that Na'Vi had almost nowhere to fall back on. They had on defense, they struggled really hard because they were getting cornered early on in the site. We're talking 2 minutes left in the round, and anchors are dying because they can't find anywhere safe to sit. And that sort of situation is hard to deal with as a defensive team, especially one who, again, I would argue they were playing, Na'Vi were playing not to win, but not to lose. They were trying to avoid loss, and so they didn't take any serious play. They didn't make any serious plays to try and regain control. They were just letting forZe take it.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that aggressiveness that is telltale from Na'Vi on defense. On attack, they looked a lot better. I think there's no way around that one.
They woke up.
Their guns started to come alive, but at that point, there's so little room for error. And as you said, win conditions were gone by the first round of their attack when Na'Vi took round number 6, their third in a row, and pushed it to the point where, at best, Navi's going to get a draw. So the champions of Pro League humbled by the upstart challengers in forZe.
It's a big win for forZe, and congratulations to them. And well, I mean, that's a really good kickoff to European Pro League. I mean, it's we got more exciting matches just like that one right around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, G2 versus BDS is next on the docket, but first we have an interview with your winners. We'll bring up forZe and ask them a couple questions about the actual matchup in just a moment. Hey, Pasha.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Congratulations, your first Pro League interview. How does it feel, man?
It feels amazing, actually. I wasn't expecting to be here, so it feels amazing.
Well, that's
Thank
good.
you.
That's good to hear. Congratulations again. Now, the first question I want to ask you. The invitational qualifiers were a bit of a disappointment for you. I don't think you made it as far as you wanted. When you lost earlier in the lower bracket, did that prompt any changes to your team for Pro League?
Yeah, that definitely make us to make changes, you know. We changed a lot of strategies to prepare this PL season. We changed mentally, I guess. We're now like, we don't care that much about the game, so we're playing more like on chill, you know. So that's it. I guess that's not all the changes, but most of them.
When you come from Challenger League to Pro League, how much of a step up do you see that level of competition from EU Challenger League to the Pro League itself?
I mean, EU is the most powerful region in Rainbow Six Siege, so it feels amazing, to be honest, because you know, it's a competition against the best team in the world, teams, you know, so it feels good.
Your first match in Pro League after making it here was up against the defending champions in Na'Vi. Was there any shakes, any worry, any anxiety or nerves or anything like that when playing against them?
I felt kind of nervous, like on first rounds, but after we took a series of the rounds, like 3 or something, I was not so nervous anymore. And the title demo, like the champions, I don't feel any scare or something. It's everyone could be the champion, you know. So.
And you guys are certainly hoping that it's going to be you. Well, congratulations.
I'm not saying it, but yeah.
well, congratulations. It was a very impressive first showing. Anything to say to the fans or the viewers before we end the interview?
Thank you, all the fans who've been cheering for us. For all the people who wasn't cheering for Navi. So, thank you and cheer for us next games. We'll see you.
Perfect.
Bye.
We'll see you in a couple days. Take care.